It's Thursday, 11 o'clock, and it's time for this week's watch drop. So let's get into this week's drop. I'm Rob. Tim is on a lovely beach somewhere, so if you'd like to leave a message for him, do that in the comments. The theme today is big money icons. We've got some of the classics, some of the icons, but with little differences. You've got precious metals, we've got complications, or just something a little bit different. And something really special from Rolex I'm excited to talk about. This is the biggest drop that we've done in terms of value. £1.2 million worth of watches are going up on the site. So let's jump into it. So let's start with the big one from Patek. Here we have the 5270G. This is a perpetual calendar chronograph. So this one's a little bit bigger than what you would have seen in some of the more vintage models, and something that's way more comfortable on the wrist if you're used to wearing something a little bit bigger. So when you finally get this in hand, what really pops out is the moon phase, that rich blue. And although it's a really complicated dial in terms of all the information on there, that size allows for it to be spread beautifully, and it will still fit really well on the wrist just because of those nicely stepped lugs. And the first thing you want to do is just start winding that crown and just feeling how that movement works. Speaking of the movement, when you turn this over, you get to see that incredible finishing that Patek is so well known for. You can really lose yourself for hours looking at it. They've made this complication since 1941. It's just something really beautiful to look at. If you've got a slightly bigger wrist, or you like that larger size, this is perfect for you. It's something that you can dress up, dress down. Whoever picks this up is going to be very happy. So next up, we have the iconic Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 56175. Comes in the full yellow gold. It's got a grey small tapisserie dial, and it's incredibly thin, which is achieved through a quartz movement. It's a statement piece, but it'll still fit under the cuff. What strikes me first about this watch, aside from the yellow gold, is the size. It's the original size for the Royal Oak, 33mm. We know Tim loves talking about small watches, and this one really fits that bill. It wears a little bit bigger than that. Even I thought it was a 36mm until I read the spec. We know Royal Oaks are known for their integrated bracelet, and in yellow gold, it's got that real glisten to it, and it's been beautifully paired in with that date function, which is in a champagne color to match the gold of it. So next up, we have a twist on the iconic Explorer 2. The focus on this is the dial color, because of how that white dial is gradually patinaed into this beautiful, like cream colored dial. You'll think it was made that way, but it's actually just aged over time. That cream color, it stands out from your standard white dial version. Makes it more subtle, it adds a softness to it, and it's just something that is unique to this watch. How uniform that aging is. It's something that's just different. You're not gonna see someone else wearing this. Tim spoke about that tropical dial before, and again, it's one of those cases where you won't see anyone else wearing it. It's unique to this watch, and when you get one that's as even as this is, it really looks like it was made intentionally that way. Apart from the dial, you've got those classic Explorer 2 characteristics. That red GMT hand, the 24-hour bezel, and just the ease of use of a GMT made this way. So this one comes from around 1987, so it's really got that neo-vintage charm. It's a 40mm instead of your modern 42, so it fits beautifully. Another icon that's just that little bit special. Next up, we have two really special Daytonas from Rolex. The first is the 2024 Daytona Le Mans in white gold. This piece was produced for less than a year. It's become an icon immediately, and it is something really impressive to look at. And in white gold, it's got that real heft. You can feel it, you'll feel it on your wrist, and you'll know exactly what you're wearing. So what makes this a Le Mans? It's the model that Rolex brought out as the 100th anniversary of the Le Mans 24-hour race. With that, they've decided to put a red detail on the 100 on the tachymeter bezel. You've got the ceramic bezel that doesn't normally come in the white gold, and they've done the updated feature of having that slight ring around the outside. You then have those beautiful white subdials, just giving that contrast, and the lollipop markers that give a little bit of a hint back to the Paul Newman Daytona. This outline that they added to the ceramic bezel, it's such a small change, but it makes a different feeling to the entire balance of the watch and really refines it. This is one of the only Rolex models that has an open case back. So you can see inside to one of the most iconic workhorse movements in the industry. This is something I wish Rolex would do more of, because Rolex movements have a really iconic look and it's a great feature to have. Moving back in time, we've got a 6265 from 1973. This is an icon without fail. It comes as a full set, which is incredibly rare from that time. Really ties into the Le Mans as well with that panda style dial. You've got just one of the most incredible cases ever made. This one comes with a steel bezel, but you've got that really simple black dial, which is faded over time into like a dark gray, and these stunning silvered subdials. You can really see how the design language has updated over time, both in the case shape, the dial design, and just the features on it. For me, this one, how pared back that dial is, it just says Rolex Oyster Perpetual Swiss. That's it. There's something just classy about it. Obviously the Le Mans, you've got that updated, modern, bigger case size, more for the modern Rolex collector. This is just something smaller, refined. What sticks out to me is that simplicity of the dial. You've got the lack of crown guards. Even the tapering of the bracelet is just vintage. And then you've got this incredible box plexi crystal. Wearing this will take you all the way back to the 70s. Next, a transition that I bet you wouldn't expect. We're moving on to the Laurent Ferrier Galet micro rotor. The fun fact about this is Laurent Ferrier himself, back in 1979, came third in the Le Mans 24-hour race. And because he hadn't achieved enough in life, he then decided to start Laurent Ferrier in 2009. They've been going for 16 years, and they're known across the community for their in-house movements, beautiful designs, that classic micro rotor as well that really stands out. In watchmaking now, it's really difficult for an independent brand to come in and bring a design language that's instantly recognizable. And Laurent Ferrier have done that. So with the Galet, you've got this cushion design on the case, these really delicate sword-esque hands, and this real feel of luxury for a brand that only produces about 300 watches a year. There's something truly special about that. We spoke about a Maurice Grossman last week that had these delicate hands as well. Laurent Ferrier is one of those brands that focuses on those really refined details. It's got a really similar design language to the hands, but then you move on to the dial with that brushed blue finish, these really pointed battens around the dial, and just a subtlety that stands out to me. The blue of this dial really stands out to me. Just the different way that you catch the light will give you a slightly different color to it, from a light blue to a dark blue, an angle, even a black. This has a sporty dress watch feel, and you can really tell when you turn it over and see that movement. They make all of their movements themselves, and they've gone with this industrial, steampunky vibe. And you can see that in the finishing of the large base plates on the bridge, and even how the micro rotor is finished. It's a really interesting finish to the movement, and it's something that's a little bit different from Laurent Ferrier. Now, moving on to three pieces. They're not within the theme, but they're too cool not to talk about. First, we have this perpetual calendar from Jaquet Droz that is just full of tiny little details. Everything from a pusher on the side of the crown to open up the case back, to retrograde date involved in it, and a skeletonized dial as well. This is a brand that's known for doing different displays of time, or even their automatons when they first began. They've always been just that little bit weird, a bit funky, and this one exemplifies everything about the brand. They've really packed in the features here, and the more you look, the more you see, but somehow it's not overdone. So here we have a perpetual calendar. You've got the leap year indicator just in the top right of the skeleton. You've got everything that you would expect to see: the month, the day, the moon phase. The date just tracks its way over the top half of the dial. And then obviously we all love a retrograde date, the way that it just pings back at the end of the month. And it really has this special detail in the back. When you push the crown, you open up the case back to see that movement. Just incredibly finished, lovely to look at, and a brilliant talking point. Next, we have something that you don't see every day from a brand that we don't see every day. We don't get many pieces in from Longines, but these two are absolutely amazing. These come from back in prime Longines, where they were having more fun, and they're almost Piaget-esque in their style and design. The dials set themselves apart from anything I've ever seen. Different colors, shapes. It's one of those details that you'll never get tired of looking at. And this pair is a real his and hers duo. One more of a bark style and one more crosshatched that really pair in to those Opal mosaic dials. They're very similar. One's a larger model and each one has its own unique shape. Something really special from Longines. So that's this week's drop. Over 60 watches are going live on the site. So many that we didn't even get to talk about. Got a 5711 1R. You've got an amazing orange dial glass shoe. This 50th anniversary AP Royal Oak as well. I'm really excited for you to check it out. So much value going up this week. Head over to the website, check it out, and we'll see you soon.